the game was different, right? The rules was different. The ball was different.
The Euro style is different in America.
The Euro style was a lot different than America.
That's the first time y'all seen that Euro step too, huh?
Absolutely.
Hello, my name is Oskars Reinfelds. I'm from Latvia, Riga, Latvia. I went to CBA, Canaries Basketball Academy, where I played for Coach D. What was it? Season 2015 and 16, and the next one as well. And following that, I went to University of Portland, which was a West Coast conference in America, where I played against some pretty good players. One of them is Gito Koch. He's also probably on this. Yeah, he's still playing basketball. And following Portland, I bounced around a few schools. I finished my career after I finished university, but I had a pretty fruitful basketball career, in my opinion. And when I was playing in Europe, I did some cool things. I got to travel. I got to play some great teams, like with some of the guys that been on this and will be on this. I'm sure, like, we played some great opponents. It was a great experience. I played with some great coaches, great people. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Oskie, thanks for hanging out with us today. It is a really, really, really great honor. And I always say this, but it's always fun to have you around. One of the most down-to-earth, crazy guys that I know and had the fortune of meeting. So we'll get straight into the questions. Right, how and why did you choose Portland and your schools after that going forward?
When I was going into the recruiting process, I was lucky enough to be around, like, the team that Rob Oriana had assembled in CBA at that time there was some monsters. There was Boris Bojanowski, Viktor Juracek, Simon. There was Shane Hamming. There was such a loaded team that a lot of college coaches came just by nature, and I was lucky enough to maybe do good against those guys in practice, which made me turn really good in turn. And there was at the end of the season, it wasn't that many schools that were interested in me. There were a few, and it came down to whether I wanted to go to like a medium big school and be just a possibility, like a player who gets some playing time here or there, or go to like a mid-major school and try to be one of the main guys on the team. And after some advice from coaches and other players, we came to the agreement that Portland was the best option for me at the time, because they were rebuilding team that was doing great before but not doing great at the time, and they needed some like young talent and stuff. And coaches seemed really nice. My coach Mike Wolf and Eric Reveno came out to see me personally. They were really nice and accommodating to me. They really made me feel at home, and that's why I chose Portland. Following that, it was just in college basketball, for you to transfer, as everyone knows probably who's watching this, but if you need to transfer from one Division I program to another one, you either have to sit out and redshirt 1 year or play junior college basketball. And that's what I chose. I chose to do JUCO basketball, and I played after that for Pensacola State College in Florida, in really, really good conference, Panhandle Conference. And you can see for yourself, there's some high quality players there that, like, afterwards they go to really big programs, like Sam Cassell's son. Well, I forgot his actual name, but. And following Pensacola, I just kind of I got injured. I broke my kneecap when I went to my next school in Troy. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, I broke my foot. I broke my foot when I got to Troy, and then after that, things just kind of went downhill from there, because I realized that I was getting injured too often, and my 3 years have already passed by. So.
Okay. What type of scholarship and did your grades play a factor in your recruitment?
Well, obviously you have to have the 2.5 GPA. What that translates to in Europe, I would say, is a C grade average, roughly. And it factors if you're trying to go in for a better program. Say, for example, if you're aiming for something like Boston College, which is, you go there for basketball, of course, but you also go there for education, because life doesn't end with basketball. And if you want to do something special after your career, you may want to consider that really hard. And if you're trying to go to a school of that caliber, or even if Ivy League schools, like, yes, it really matters. But as far as coming into college programs, just like if going to any regular program, the 2.5 GPA at grade point average is the only thing that really is required of you, and passing the SAT test. At the time, I really don't know what the testing system is nowadays, because it's been
it's the same.
8 years.
The only difference is that just due to COVID, they're not counting it for this recruitment period coming up. So but everything's pretty much still the same.
Right.
And did you got a full ride to go to Portland?
Oh yeah. I got full scholarships in every school that I attended to. Altogether, that makes 3, I guess. Before in recruiting process, I want to say I had something like 4 or 5 schools that were, they hadn't committed to me, but in the leading up to the process, they showed some commitment to committing to me, if that makes any sense. It became more and more evident that I was going to go to Portland.
That you wasn't going
around CBA was like, I'm sure the head honcho told the other schools what was going on, so like it wasn't like coming down to the line with me making a decision. Like, people knew what I was going to do.
Yeah, fair enough. When you're high profile, you know what I mean? Me and you got that same problem, Oskie. I mean, I went undrafted, but people knew my decision.
I'm making a comeback now. They just don't know. Me and Carmelo Anthony.
I hear you.
We've been working out. And Paul George.
Yo, you can't put Melo's name next to Paul George after Paul George's performance. So, yeah, man. Paul George has got to get back in the lab, man. He's got to get back in the lab.
I read a meme yesterday. Like, this is funny, real quick. It was like something like the meme was, the first side of the meme was like, it's saying something like, I heard a loud noise coming from such and such place last night, and the other side was like, Paul George must have been getting some shots up.
Yo, that is why, people need to leave Paul George alone. But I mean,
it's like when Roy Hibbert used to suck. They posted a picture of garbage. It was like, Roy Hibbert hanging out in the free time.
Yo, I can't even laugh, man. What questions did you ask your college coaches when you were being recruited? What did you want to know?
I wanted to know what is going to be like. How am I going to play? Am I going to play? And if I'm going to play, what kind of role I'm going to have? Those are the main things for me, because at the time I didn't know any more than just to ask basketball questions. But aside from that, I was asking about like how's going to be the living arrangement. Am I going to have like pay for anything? And I was quickly told that I won't have to pay for anything. That food and all that stuff will of course be taken care of. And in Portland, I can say honestly, it was the greatest experience as far as food. In university, they took really good care of their athletes, and I didn't really ask much honestly, because like I was saying before we just started, I was saying that there were so many guys who had gone to universities before in CBA and then returned to CBA, that all these questions that I had, I worked through with them along the time. And all the other guys that we were living together, you know how it was. Mm-hmm. So all we talked about was going to be like in college, because we were all so desperate to get out of CBA at the time. We were just, daydreaming. Like you were in class, whatever you were doing, you were just thinking, oh man, in college, this is not going. You know what I mean?
Dreams of escape. That's hilarious. What questions do you wish that you asked?
At the time, I feel like it was sufficient, but I feel like my general level of what I should have been worried about wasn't lined up, because I was so used to, in CBA, you come there basically, like they take care of your living, everything, like you traveling, you don't buy any tickets, you go into a place like here, you don't handle your own papers, your college coaches come in, you don't handle like, you know what I mean? So in university, when it came time to handling like things like, going to meetings on time all the time, and going to study halls on time and stuff like that. Like I thought it like, cause it's not going to be a big deal, but I'm sure it was obviously a big deal. But at the time, you know, like, you know how in Europe basketball is in club levels, like school and like school and sports don't intermingle that much as a young athlete. So you thinking when you're playing for this European team, you're thinking school is not that big of a deal in my life. But when you go to America, it's super intermingled, because one, you lose your eligibility as soon as you fail your classes. And when you go to school, there's certain things like you miss 5 classes, you automatically get flunked out of the class. You know what I mean? And you do this, or you, for example, you don't know about things like plagiarizing in papers. All of that. You know what I mean? You may have copied a whole speech from a famous philosopher.
May have. Rumors have it.
Rumors have it. But like, I wish I would have been more intrigued, I guess, by the other things. I was just so focused on the basketball that like nothing else really mattered to me at the time. And I was thinking, how much worse can this really, like, how much harder can it be than like Latvia, than going to train, like practicing 8 hours a day, you know what I mean? Waking up at 5, 6 a.m. like every day. I was thinking like, if I manage through all that, then like this should be through. But it's a different set of skills you need to, like, because to get there you need one skill set, but to stay there and flourish there, it takes a totally different skill set. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's real talk. I like it. You're exactly right. I guess getting to college is different, completely different set of skills, which I guess if you don't know you don't have them, is a rude awakening, or it can be a rude awakening.
Very rude awakening, because you don't even realize while you're being awakened. That's what's going on.
While you're being
awoken. And the process is not slowing down for you at all. Like, it's not gonna, like, the world's not gonna slow down until you learn something. You gotta realize that, like, you gotta pick it up, or otherwise.
That's it.
Sayonara. Sorry.
That is it. So thinking of the 3 schools that you went to, can you remind us what conferences they were in, and can you tell us a little bit about the level of basketball? So was it guard heavy, big dominant, pick and roll? Like, just a little bit of, insight.
University of Portland was Division I, West Coast Conference. They play I don't know about the conferences. Teams have switched conferences because that happened. But at the time, it was a really good conference because we had Gonzaga. Well, not we had. Gonzaga was in our conference. Gonzaga, and that was during that year, they had Kevin Pangos, Olenek. They were number 1 in the country at the time. There was St. Mary's basketball with Matthew Dellavedova. He played in NBA for the Cavs. Remember? LeBron James' point guard when Kyrie got injured. He locked down Steph Curry for 1 game, if I'm not even. I got 20 points on him. That's more than Steph Curry, so.
Sign you up.
Yeah, man. Sign me up. I'm better than Sean Livingston already. Yeah. After that, I went to a junior college, Pensacola State College. Oh, how we played basketball. The thing is, we were like one of those Midwestern teams that you see with a whole bunch of like stocky white guys. So like, we weren't gonna do run and gun nothing. We'd have to like, be like, try to play to our strengths, whatever it was. And we had a power forward named Ryan Nicholas who was real solid in the post. He could score a lot, so we gave him the ball a lot. We had a shooting guard who was one of the only athletic guys we had, really, Kevin Bailey. He was really good, and we played a lot through him. And in some times of the season, I had my flashes. I'm not trying to say that was anything to do with how we played. I'm saying that's like, I got to do some things that I like also. I wasn't totally out of the loop. And after that, I went to a totally different side of the country, which is in Florida, and totally different side of basketball. Now we had all guys from Mississippi and Kentucky and Louisiana. And they were as athletic, long as you can get, and like, our center was the year before he came to our school, LJ Livingston, he played for Florida Gulf Coast. There was, I don't know if people are gonna remember this, but there was one year when Florida Gulf Coast went to NCAA March Madness, and they like shocked the world because they were like super dunking type of team. We had their big man. If that says anything.
Yeah. I got you. I remember
when the guys weren't far behind, so we played a totally different type of basketball there. And then after that, I went to Troy University, where it was a totally new rebuilding team, where all the like 9 or 8 players who got there were new guys from different schools. So we would like learning stuff. It wasn't really structured in any one type of way.
No, that's pretty dope, man. It's especially having the different variety of basketball. I'm going to put you in a tough spot. Where was the best basketball?
It's difficult to compare because the JUCO basketball in general is a totally different ball game than D1 basketball, because D1 basketball is way more structured. Like there's timeouts every whatever time, you know what I mean? Like
4 to 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, and you can't get into like certain rhythms because then there's like cameras going on. There's this. In JUCO, it's just a bunch. It's like open gym almost, but with some crowd.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's like if a bunch of dudes came to watch an open gym, and you know what I mean? You can really do what you want to like do. Like there's not so much stoppage, so you can't compare it. But as far as the guys who played on the same team, the JUCO team that I played on was, I think, the best one, because the guys who transferred in were like really high major D1 players. You know, I went to Troy afterwards, which is also D1, and actually the year after I left Troy, they won the conference championship, but not the year I was there.
After they got rid of all the bad guys.
Get rid of Carmelo.
Yo, stop beating up on Melo, man. Melo
I was the Melo of the team, so I get it. It was like, you know.
Yo, Melo was putting in work this playoffs. Melo put in work this playoffs.
Oh man, he may have, but like you know how many Melo? Come on, man.
He put in that Hall of Famer, man. Put some respect in his name. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I mean, I can't argue that. I'm not a fan of that fact, but I can't argue that.
Right. So, what helped you graduate and play? You know, being and we kind of touched on it a little bit, talking about the different skills that you need for college. But what helped you be a student athlete? You know, what helped you?
The realization that I wasn't 6'8" and dunking from free throw line at age 22 something, and then Giannis was coming on the scene for the first time. I was like, oh no.
That was your cue to.
I was like, this is not gonna work out. Like I was really. You know how I was. I took a hard look at myself, and I realized, like, I'm my absolute best scenario. At like, if stars aligned, you know what I mean? I played great in every game. I needed to play great. At absolute best, I would get to like Matthew Dellavedova's level. And that would take up 100% of my focus, time, energy. Like my entire life needed to like be swallowed up for me to be Matthew Dellavedova, and I was just not ready for that.
You know what's really great hearing you say is, because there's going to be a bunch of youngsters watching this, and a couple of guys in college, I'd imagine, and kind of like understanding that, hey, it would have taken you a hell of a lot of time, and you was talented. Like I've seen you do some stuff as a coach that I've been like, wow, this kid's crazy. And the fact that you're like, look, I would have to give in everything just to be a rotational player at the pro level, like, is very sobering, because when you're young and you can make a couple of shots and you hit a game winner and all the rest of it, you're like, right, hey, I'm gonna go to the league, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna be somebody special.
You gotta remember, I also got injured twice seriously in the same season. I broke one foot. No, I broke my kneecap, then came back for a year, then broke each one of my feet in the same year. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. That helped a lot to my thinking, because I broke one foot. It's like I was healing it 3 months, came back and broke the other foot. I was like, all right, man.
I'm glad we can laugh about it, but that's serious.
Can we do a sidebar real quick?
Yeah.
Can I use?
Yeah, that's hilarious. Where was we? All right, so
acknowledging the fact that you're not going to cut it to the NBA.
and then it was more on the student side of what did you do to ensure that you got the grades and that you was passing and stuff like that.
Tell you the truth, passing was never an issue. Like I was going through with such good grades. I graduated like 3.2 something GPA.
Okay.
School, after a certain point in my life, I don't know what clicked, but other things besides basketball became way more interesting to me. Mm-hmm. And I approached them with the same like kind of intensity as I did basketball at the time, because you know how I used to be really all about basketball. And once that happened, I just got really like good at the things that were required of me in school. And yeah, that's pretty. And after that, after I got good, I got confidence that I'm good. So I started, being more participative in classroom when they ask questions and stuff. So I realized that the more you do that stuff, the more it pays off to you in the long run with the grade and stuff. Because for example, if you participate a lot in a class, right, in a good way, not in a corny way, not like in class clown, whatever, making some silly. If you actually participate in a class, like you care about it, and you need to care about it for you to actually pull this off. But the more, like, for example, if something goes by in a test or essay or whatever, the teacher will give you benefit of the doubt because they've heard you speak. They know they know where your head's at. You know what I mean? So, and also, in American universities, they give you so much slack for just showing up and doing it every day. I can't overemphasize it. They like give you so much slack if you just come there. If you care about what you're doing, if you're respectful, they'll give you so much help. They'll do their absolute best to not put you in a bad situation. Now, on the flip side, if you come there and you act like you're bigger than the whole process, it's gonna end up really bad. Seen a bunch of guys not being able to play. They go to a good school, then they can't play because of their grades. Can't get their grades up. 2.5. That's the easiest thing. The guys could be the most talented guy in the world. He can't get his grades high enough to play, lose eligibility, goes back home. This is typically about American guys, so it doesn't reflect on Europeans that much. Then they go back home, they maybe get into some trouble. They go to JUCO, make another trouble. Now all of a sudden college coaches have a reputation for them. And it's just easiest to stay on the good side of the school thing because it's just it's better to learn. First of all, bottom line is in the long run, it's better to be smart than not. So school is good. And on the more micro level, it's like it uncomplicates your life so much to just do good in school because it's not hard there. It's not. No one's asking you to do like electrical engineering. Just do. Unless you're doing
an electrical engineering course.
Unless you're doing but if you're the type of guy who wants to do electrical engineering diploma, then I'm assured that you're not a total goofball.
Yeah, I got you. Talking about coming into programs, so as you said, you was pretty talented coming up as a junior, and I think that you're very modest and humble talking about the guys that you played alongside as a junior, but having that self-confidence, that self-belief, and being ranked in Europe and stuff, and now you're going to Portland. How was the culture change in terms of being a guy that started the game and getting the bulk of minutes to now, getting less minutes and less of a featured role? How did you deal with that?
Man, listen, that is tough. That's the toughest thing. That's actually what most guys struggle with, because if you're in a D1 program, whatever, D2, high JUCO, whatever you are doing, it's not bums who you're playing with. Those guys were also the guy in their program. You know what I mean? So like you're playing against guys who were the guy in their so everyone's having, you know what I mean, that attitude that they should be the guy, because these are the guys who their whole lives been good in their And when you go there and you realize that not only it's not these guys that are, you coming in as an 18-year-old from whatever you're doing in Europe, you're not going to be in a physical shape like NCAA guy on a junior year. You know what I mean? Like, if you're especially if you're a big man, then it's so crucial, because you're a big man and you coming in at 6'9", 6'9", and you weighing like 190 pounds, which is what Victor was, which is why he struggled at first in college. You know what I mean? And you're banging against some guy who is maybe 6'8", 260 pounds, you know, straight. It's not going to work for you very good at first. So there's such a big, and you got to realize, but as a guy in Europe, I didn't expect that to be the case, because I came in and I was thinking, oh, these guys they're not doing that great, so I'll come in and I'll be the guy. Please.
What vices?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone tell you the same thing. I didn't see anybody from who I played as good as we were in CBA. None of those guys, me included, were freshman year, you know what I mean, league prospect. Maybe Shane Hamming, but even not in his first year, because that in LSU he played. Sometimes he played good, but he really came together in Valparaiso. Like, he wasn't even first, and he was, you know what I mean, the closest I think we've gotten to like a guy from my year who's gone. I thought Shane was gonna go to the league with the way he played in Valparaiso.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic as well, and I guess for the majority, you don't really realize the vastness of the talent that's out there.
Yeah, you don't know how much there is there. You just don't know. And not just talent, like, it's next level skill. I mean, the work that comes into, like, it's nothing like the discipline of, like, say, team defense in college basketball. You can't you break down your one guy, there's 3 other guys that have been trained think about it, you play 4 months a year in college and you train 8 months. So, like, these guys, and they for 4 years together, for the most part, they're together for 4 years, so they know each other. So their rotations on defense is immaculate. You know what I mean? This guy knows that this guy has a tendency to let the guy go wide in the middle or something, so he's gonna step up and help early, and then you're gonna step off your big man, right? And then some other guy's covering your, like, it's so much more the next level than just beating your guy and then you're at the rim. Okay, you're at the rim, watch, there's gonna be a guy who's gonna take you up for it at that rim.
I like it. With the knowledge that you have now, what 3 things would you redo going into college? And it doesn't necessarily have to be.
I would work on my aspect of being okay with just not, like, exactly what we just talked about. That was my biggest struggle. I was struggling from CBA when I was coming. Even though, like, there was other good guys, I felt like a lot of the time when push came to shove, I was the guy with the ball in the hands. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever reason, Rob trusted me, you trust me, Chris May, whatever. I was the guy, right? So I was thinking that, and then when I came there, I wasn't ready to not be the guy. And I would tell myself, like, listen, have your high dreams, but at the same time, be real with yourself, because you know what I mean? All those dreams don't make no sense, because if you set yourself too high of an expectation and then you consistently don't attain that, you're gonna start thinking bad of yourself, because you're this guy who I set these goals for myself.
These aspirations.
Season, I need to be already on starting 5 by this part, and then you start comparing. Oh, there's a guy who came in as a freshman, he's already averaging 20-some points, and I'm like, but you know what I mean? Everyone has their own journey. That's what I would have told myself, like, just work hard and be a good teammate, be like all that. You know what I mean? The right thing. It's not, you're not gonna die if you don't, you know what I mean, make it to the starting 5. It's all right.
Being a European player in the US, and I guess this goes for all 3 programs, did you get any stigma for being from Europe? So, you know, did they automatically think you were soft or weak, or, you know, you couldn't play?
Nope.
Everyone was just cool?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I never gave the impression of being soft or weak.
Okay.
Because I came in and it was like, I wasn't as good, but I was very arrogant. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So like nobody couldn't tell me nothing. I would say I was a little bit too far on the opposite end of the spectrum. I was thinking like, listen, I played in Europe.
Listen, I played against, you know, some old middle-aged men who never played basketball before, and I got 40 points.
Right, man. I dunked on this guy. But that's another thing. The teams we played against in Spain, Jesus.
Yo, I remember there was, one of my favorite.
Especially when we went on with your team and stuff, and we would just really let loose with like, because for some odd reason, it would be like the best junior team going to play against these like middle-aged men after a World Basketball League, and they would be so salty.
My favorite Oskie story was, I think, one of the senior teams. I don't know what happened, and we got beat by 30. It was about 35 or some craziness, and it was like that outdoor cage court, and I got all of you guys, and like I think it was for the playoffs. It was for like, you know what I mean. It was like a 2-leg playoff game. In the first game we lost by -33, and the second game, when you guys played, we had to beat them by like 34 or 35.
I remember that.
And that was a crazy game because you know it was just killing it. And I think it was like the fourth quarter we started, and we was beating them by like 30. And I think they scored. It was like a free throw, and we inbounded the ball, and you was walking up, and you was like, "Hey D, how much do we need?" I was like, "Yo, we're down by 2. We're down by 2." And you was like, "Okay." And you walked across the half court, and you pointed at Dale to come and set you a screen. And Dale sprinted hard. And as Dale sprinting, and like as I said, you just crossed the half court, Dale sprints to come set the screen, and then you just shoot it and walk back, and it goes in, and I'm like, okay, I guess that, right? We're in the league.
That brings me, man. That is one of my all-time basketball highlights because of like how cool it looked. Like
it was.
But you reminded me how Dale used to sprint set screen. Dale used to run like there was fucking people. That shit was. I'm sorry. That was drilled into Dale with Arvidas on his back for 4 years. Like Dale went through basically Navy SEAL training. As a young guy.
I think all the bigs went through Navy SEAL training.
Yeah, man. We used to take pleasure in breaking people's spirits down.
That was hilarious. But no, that was like, I don't know, like I think that will save me forever. It was just the way he was like, "What do we need, D?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're down 2." And he was like, "All right." And he sprints up, and like you just crossed the half court, and the guy's like looking for the screen, and you shoot it. And I was like, "Yeah, it's nothing." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, we got it.
Got the bucket.
And you used to bang music on the loudest in the van on the way back. We were going crazy fast. I mean,
yo, them car journeys were like some of the greatest ever.
Yeah, man. And like at first, Chris Mays wasn't with the program, but afterwards, you know how he loosened up and got cooler and cooler with each passing month, and that's when Kanye West and Jay-Z dropped that "Gotta Have It" song and stuff.
Yeah.
They were on nonstop repeat.
Man, that's hilarious. Yeah, man, it was cool, man. I enjoyed seeing you guys have a good time, and I think the situation where we was in terms of being away from family and friends and being so regimented, and it felt like, you know, especially us coaches would have.
Yes,
like up to 5.
When you first got to CBA?
22, I think.
I
think I was like 22. Yeah. And trust me, I was treated like the young boy too. I was. I
mean, everybody, like, who was treated like? No one was treated good. Oh, people were treated good, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. It was apparent. But hey, I was fortunate, and if I didn't go, I wouldn't have met, you know, guys like yourself. And
it was dope in retrospect, but going back through it again. Pay me some serious dough, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like reunion CBA, like one last season, and it's like all the veterans playing in that old man league now.
Yeah, that would be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
hey, I would even suit up for that. I'd be setting the screens.
You have to. That would be funny.
Hey, getting back on track, man. We side noted. What's the best part of playing? Well, what was the best part of playing basketball in the States?
Oh, there's so many good things about being that opportunity to, first of all, free education, which is you can use that your whole life afterwards. Second of all, the experience of being treated like, you're never going to treat it like, unless you become an NBA player, you're never going to get treated as nicely again as you were when you play in college athletics for a team. Like, people recognize you when you're walking down the street, like in a nice way. Even when you don't do that great, you know, the teachers are helping you, the other students love you. Like, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, that part of it. Basketball, but the camaraderie with your teammates, the lessons that you learned, like you learn ownership of you know what I mean. You like, unless you're super real with yourself, it's gonna be really tough for you. And you know, if you think you're better than you are, if you think you're cooler than you are, like, all that stuff is invaluable. It's all the friendships you make. Some people meet their loved ones in university, you know, in their lives.
Their wives and husbands.
If you're not that, for example, if your playing career doesn't work out, you're on really good terms with your coaches, you're a hard worker, you may get that coaching job, you know what I mean? While you're getting that coaching job, they're paying your master's degree. You're getting your master's degree, boom, next door open. It's all good pretty much. It's only bad when you make it bad.
And how did you find it playing in front of the fans? So I know you've had some sold out arenas.
When there was packed gyms. I used to play good in packed gyms, because when it was, my main thing was in Portland, there was like a 10,000 seat arena, but like 2,000 or 3,000 people came out. And it looks awful when it's like that. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause it just doesn't sound loud. Like, so when the people did come out for like Gonzaga's or St. Mary's, or I played in Kentucky, against Kentucky in Rupp Arena. In Michigan, not the University of Michigan, but Michigan State, their uniforms are green. I don't know what their thing was, but like I played in some huge BYU, 18,000 people. I played my best games in front of those people, because it was just I was feeding off that energy. Even you're gonna have to adjust certain things, like, and the guys from even better speaker schools will tell you more, like Boris or Shane. When the opposite team's fans have like a scouting report on what to say to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of guys are talking about that.
To me, it never like got me mad or anything. It just was, I was like, damn, it's for me.
Honored.
Yeah, or when you're getting your shots up before the thing, and there's a cameraman literally below you, recording you, and you gotta act like you don't see the camera.
Just pretend.
Yeah, or you're tying your shoelaces in the locker room, and some guys like filming you from the side. You know how they do on like when you play on your camera? Those things are awesome. I always love them. Matter of fact, there's still some footage on me, so look me up.
Make sure you send. And we'll talk about that afterwards. But yeah, we'll get that stuff.
Matter of fact, there's still that video of me dunking in the rim. Like, remember?
Yeah, that was my first ever video that I made. My first ever edited video.
I'm glad it was me.
It was pretty awesome, man. I liked it. All right, so quick questions now. Quick, short questions. The trivial and the touristy kind of questions. What was the weather like in your states that you played in?
Portland was absolutely terrible. It rains like eight months a year, which is, I live in London now, and London seems like tropical islands compared to Portland.
No way.
Serious, man. Serious.
Portland's that bad?
Summer is really hot, but the rest of the year it rains literally every day, like almost every day. Seattle and Portland have something like the highest suicide rate because it rains all the time.
Jeez, I don't.
It gets dark. It gets dark in Portland. But Florida was the exact opposite. It was so hot and humid. I mean, everyone knows about Miami and that it's not like Miami and Panhandle where I was at, but it was really hot. It was really, and the bugs there are insanely big. Yeah.
And what about Troy?
Troy is Alabama. It's pretty much next to Florida. Same thing. Really hot, humid air. All those southern states, Mississippi, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, all them similar climates.
Okay. Must-see destination. You don't have to do all three, but what's the must-see destination, like point of, like the place that you've been to, where's the best attraction? In
world?
No, in like out of the three college. Yeah.
Portland, because it's the biggest city. You know what I mean? You know how there's cities and then there's towns or whatever? Portland's an actual city. They got an NBA team, you know, they got their the Bluff, which is like where all the restaurants are or something like that. Like, it's just a bigger city, and that's why I would pick that one. Pensacola is it's not big, but it's not tiny, but it's definitely not big. And Troy is a close to a village. Like, it's like a student town, you know, like there's nothing else there. And when the students leave for any break,
that's it. It's empty. Fair enough. Best place to get food?
Five Guys.
Five Guys? You didn't even think. Five Guys?
No, hands down.
You're a hands down Five Guys guy. Okay, fair enough. Best place to get new kicks?
In college, they give you your shoes, and I was never like a sneakerhead, so I don't, you know what I mean? Yeah. I just order, like, I literally, right now in London, I order my stuff from sportsdirect.co.uk.
Sports Direct got them stupid discounts.
Man.
You trying to be an ambassador for Sports Direct?
Man, I wish they would. Maybe I become TikTok famous off this. You never know. Maybe I dance or something.
What American holiday is the best and why?
Thanksgiving food.
Okay.
The food, like the you know, the Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. Which is, funny thing is, they call it Thanksgiving dinner. It starts at 12 in a day, like 12 noon Thanksgiving dinner. But the amount of different fruit, like especially if you're in the South, like from the fried chickens to the mashed potato gravies to the honey glazed ham to.
Do you miss Thanksgiving?
Sorry?
Do you miss Thanksgiving over here?
Yeah, also the football. I love American football. It's like my favorite sport.
Okay.
And when I was in America, funny thing is I always thought I should have, like, if I was born in America, I would have played football.
Why? You like it that much?
Because, like, I think I would be really good at throwing the ball because, like, I was good at passing.
Fair enough. I mean,
I just seemed like you need to learn one thing. Like in basketball, you need to know all things. In football, you do one.
You can specialize. Yeah, you can specialize. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get homesick, and how did you deal with that?
No, man, I hate Latvia. You know this. No, I didn't get homesick. All jokes aside, I didn't because the experience was so much better than home, which I assume majority of the people watching it would endorse. Like, even if it was tough or whatever, I'm sure it's better than growing up in Latvia or Slovakia or, you know what I mean? What?
Hey, it says a lot of guys that love being back home, man. Family, friends, stuff you grew up around.
That's what you would say if you're from London, D. I know why you love being back home. London, that's why I asked, what's the favorite place in the world? London.
Okay. Yeah. Well, even compared to America?
Compared to anything.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Last few questions before I let you go. What was your level of independence before you got to college? So was you able to cook for yourself, wash your stuff?
I was able to, but we didn't have to in the academy. And truth be told, if you play basketball, you're not gonna have to in college either. But you should learn how to do things like handle your own like paperwork, for example, like enrollments in classes. You know what I mean? Making your own schedule, that type of thing. It's more important than cooking or cleaning, because in states, like I'm sure you know, it's way cheaper to like, I don't know, like especially when you're on a campus, like you're not gonna have to do any of that. You just throw stuff in the washer or dryer or whatever, it's quick. But to handle your own like school schedules, your, you know, financial aid if you need that, your whatever it might be, that's way more important, I think. You gotta, but that's not something you can come in knowing. It's something that you need to be proactive about learning while you're in school in the first place. Like all those student I remember when I got to the point, I had international orientation, freshman orientation, freshman athlete orientation, and some other BS orientation. And I was thinking, man, I can't do this. But it was all very like
necessary.
As boring and monotone as it is, that's important stuff. They don't just sprinkle that in for, you know, for fun. Like no one wants to be there. It's just you need to get it done. Otherwise, everyone's gonna be going to their advisor. Hey, how do I do this? How do I do that?
Yeah. That's true. What was the biggest adjustment to the American culture? And was there a big difference between, I guess, Latvia and America?
There wasn't really, I don't know. We were all pretty international in there. So like my last 3 years I spent in Spain around guys who all were pretty global. So it wasn't that big of a deal for me. And if you're coming from a place like England as well, it's not going to be a big deal. Only difference is generally like you put 20,000, like this given you going to a big school, you go to put 20,000 20-year-olds in the same location, you know, it's going to be some partying, some, you know, things going on, which you're going to be allowed to do things you weren't like, not necessarily not allowed to, but you're going to have the freedom. You're in a different time zone. No one's checking on you. Okay.
Well, that brings us beautifully to our next question. How as a student athlete, how do you deal with those distractions? So, you know, we're talking about drugs, we're talking about alcohol, we're talking about, you know, women. Like how do you deal with that?
As a student, there's the academic life, the athletic life, and the social life. You can have 2 out of 3. You can't have all 3. So you can either be a student athlete, or you can be a student partier, social guy, or you can't be an athlete, social guy too much. It's not gonna work out. You're not gonna have the time. You're traveling. You're already behind on schoolwork. You're missing class, and you're gonna be held up to a different standard under a different type of microscope than anybody else in the campus. So because you're getting your school paid for. Obviously.
Power off.
Oh, sorry.
All good. And because of that, first of all, that stuff's gonna lead you to trouble or difficulties. As far as drugs and alcohol and that type of thing, you're gonna get tested regularly for drugs. Alcohol, you can probably have alcohol, but thing about alcohol is going to set you back physically, so it's going to be more difficult to play basketball. As far as smoking weed or stuff like that, you're going to get busted. You get busted 3 times, that's it. Your $50,000 scholarship's in the garbage. You can go to JUCO and try again. If you're good enough to go to a JUCO.
How did you deal with those distractions? What were some of the things that you did to avoid, you know?
Well, obviously at first I dealt with them very poorly. And because I was in CBA for 2.5 years or something like that, I came out like a caged animal. Everything that I missed out for 2 years, 3 years, whatever it was, I was after it now. Because not only was it all freely available, it was all encouraged because you're a basketball player, you're one European kid, whatever. It's all cool and well, but after a while, your juniors, you'd all avoid it altogether. But if you're lucky enough to last until your 3rd, 4th year, you realize how much waste that stuff was, because it's just you spend your time and energy in places where it just didn't make sense, and you know later you're gonna realize it was just not only were you not moving in the right direction, but you were actively like helping yourself move
Go
back.
to the wrong way, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, sometimes life happens. You may sprain your ankle, you may miss a winning shot, whatever. But with drugs and alcohol and partying, girls and all that stuff, like if you're doing it wrong, meaning if you're like, you know, missing class or doing bad in basketball because of that stuff, it's gonna set you back, and you're gonna be more. It's gonna set you back, and point blank period. If you're smart enough, you're gonna realize it quicker rather than later before you get in any serious trouble. If you get too far along with it, you may get entangled in some wrong situation. Lord knows about American drug laws. You can go to jail.
Very true. Thanks for that, Oskie. What advice would you give to new recruits coming in? So, you know, if you had a younger brother, cousin, whatever, coming over, and you know they asked you,
always just start with the idea that you don't know that much. That like what people are saying is like that's what you need to absorb everything, because you don't know much, honestly, at that stage in your life. So just be a sponge of information and in the best possible way, and that's it, pretty much. Like there's other things gonna come if you do that. Like just never be too like thinking that you got to figure it out, because you don't. And just keep learning all the time. No one goes in there knowing all the things and how to do all the things. You know, just keep learning. And don't hang your head on the first bad experience and make your things worse than what they should be. Keep things in perspective. Be reasonable, like level-headed with the situation. Don't make it any worse or better than what it needs to be.
I love that. Also, I just wanted to ask, as you had so many injuries, and I guess, you know, you burnt up your 3 years and all the rest of it, did you didn't finish playing, so you graduated, but you didn't.
I had one more year. I had my last year of eligibility playing basketball, but I had to face a dilemma with my very last coach, whether it's like basically my attitude was towards practicing that type of stuff. I wasn't a bad teammate or anything, or breaking the team rules, but like our coach would expect, as he should, for us to come in and get extra shots up, you know, come in and watch extra film. I didn't want to do any of that stuff, because already in that point in my mind, I was thinking, well, I'm just here finishing school now. Like, I'm not like gonna play basketball afterwards, because if I like wanted to play basketball, I had to go back to Europe, right? And I was thinking at the time, if I go back to Europe, there ain't no way I'm gonna make it back to the USA. I better not leave. And my only best way to not leaving, I'm not gonna go NBA, so my best way is to get a job, start working. And yeah.
Okay, so I mean, how did you feel not playing your last year?
I was already moved past it, man. My coach kind of offered me an ultimatum whether I start doing those things, like coming in for extra work and that type of stuff, or just like you can do what you want to do. And I was lucky enough that I went to the school, to the like registrar office, and they said that I'm eligible for a full academic scholarship. So, you know what I mean? I still had school paid for, and all of the things all the niceties that I had, I just got it paid for by my grades.
Okay.
And I was on really, really good terms with my like, you know, the dean of my like school thing, and like all the people that mattered, I was on really, really good terms with, because like I was one of the kids, you know, Europeans stay around in summer school because you don't have nowhere to go, and like everyone knew me, and I was like working in like work studies and stuff. Like I was just known around campus, and I was always like nice to people. So when it came time for me needing something, they were super nice with it, and they gave me a full ride on academics on my last year, like housing, everything paid for. It was a blessing. It worked out perfectly for me.
Do you regret not playing your last year?
Nah, man, I don't, because the playing love had gone, and I was just you don't need guys like that on the team. You know what I mean? Like it's guys who are hungry, who want that scholarship, who want to be like they want to even have a chance at playing. For someone to come in and say that, oh, I don't want to do this or that, because that makes no sense. That would, you know what I mean? I was very self-aware of not being the cancer on the team. You know what I mean? I never wanted to be like that guy who's just, you know what I mean? You think, oh, he's a cancer, or like he'll just bring team. So I was like immediately, but I do like miss stuff about basketball. I was just not ready to go through the whole process. If I got injured again, there's so many things going on as far as that. And when they offer you can have the same exact thing you struggle for, but you can have it basically just keep going to class. And I was like, okay, I can just drop everything. You know, it was an easy choice at the time for me.
Do you think it was worth everything that you put into before getting a scholarship to go? Like getting, so all the, like the 2.5 years of CBA, was that worth going to the States and not finishing basketball?
Because man, I graduated with high flying grades, and that would have not had happened. I wouldn't have gone to school, and I wouldn't have gotten any higher education if I didn't play basketball. You know, I would have just tried my luck in Europe, right? And you know how it goes. Maybe you're at like age 16, some team would assign me to a 7-year contract for $20,000. You know what I mean? In my second year, I would have gotten the same exact injuries or something, and you know, it would just been another one of those things. Instead, like the all the other lessons that I learned in America and how to just cope in general world, and like how much more like global I guess I've become, an understanding of how world works, it's invaluable to me. That's all totally worth it. Plus the people I met, like you, like you don't just meet people like that. It's kind of like when people talk about going to army, you gotta struggle for something that you all have in common for a long time for you to like become bonded like that. You don't just become, you know, I've never made friends since basketball like I had friends then. Like I don't have any tight bonds like that anymore because you don't struggle in the same direction like that.
That's true.
Everything else just doesn't measure up, so it's just like, why?
Was you treated any different from the coaching staff, from Coach Cannon? Like when you said I was out and you switched and you know had your academic, was it like a bitter thing? Was it like no? In college, man, it's a business thing. When you're 22, 23 years old, you're in your last years of college, you see things totally different than when you did when you first came into college. First you came in and you're trying to like, you know, you're trying to look the best you can in front of the coach and practice and that type of thing. In your junior, senior years, you notice, man, my coach is trying to look good in front of this coach so he can get a job in this coaching job. You know what I mean? So like you start seeing things for what they are. It's like, and you gotta realize they see, why would this guy do this if he can do this? You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm angry at you thing. It's like, okay, I see why you would do it. I would have done the same thing. Oskie, it is absolutely amazing having you here with us this
Thank you for having me, Dave.
This afternoon. No, it's really good, and as I said, what I like a lot about when we talk and when I get you to talk to a bunch of guys is that you're really like genuine from a place of, hey, it is what it is, you know. I've done a lot of stuff myself. I made some bad decisions. I made some bad choices. I thought I was the be all and end all, and then I realized that I wasn't and stuff. Yeah. And you know, being that self-critical is really hard to be, especially when you need that confidence and arrogance to get to the places that you want to get to. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to get to America not being strong-minded, not being confident, you have to have some of those qualities, and then being able to understand that and then be self-critical at the same time is
you gotta be a shapeshifter, man.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, thank you very much for hanging out with us this afternoon.
Hey, this is Oskars Reinfelds. Thank you for watching EuroStepping, and yeah, man, keep it real, have fun. Stay in school.
Appreciate you watching the EuroStepping.
I want to thank everybody for watching EuroStepping.
Watching the EuroStepping.
The EuroStepping.
The EuroStepping.
You've been watching the EuroStepping.
The EuroStepping.
EuroStepping.
You've been watching the EuroStepping, a great podcast show hosted by Coach D.